Till Death Do Us Part is a lighthearted and sometimes satirical true crime podcast where we present our dysfunctional married take on serious cases involving other dysfunctional relationships. We hope you enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to episode 139 of Till Death Do Us Part.
I'm your faithful Daniel.
And I'm Melissa. Welcome to the show, darling.
Welcome back.
It's been a little bit of time.
No, a couple of days, a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. But we're back. Happy, healthy, ready to talk about murder.
Yeah, murder is always going to be an uplifting and healthy start to your day or the end.
Absolutely. Hey, if you guys want to do us a favor, we always love and appreciate reviews. So if you could give us reviews on whatever you listen to, that would be amazing.
Yeah, but the bigger number.
What do you mean?
Well, the ratings and the reviews and stuff.
Yeah, it helps us out a lot. Helps us to be exposed.
We don't mind. You know, we're of a certain age now, so being exposed, we're like, it's fine. Everyone's seen it.
Like, which one do you want to see?
Right?
We'll show them the better one.
It's fine.
We also have another podcast called Drunk in Love. It's a history podcast where we drink and I tell Daniel history's greatest love stories through time.
While we consume adult beverages. And and what couldn't be funnier or more entertaining?
A little bit more risque. We're not dropping F-bombs, but we do seem to talk about adult aerobics a little bit more.
Yeah, it depends on the content. But, stuff happens.
Yeah, we've already done Cleopatra. We did someone who was supposed to be king but didn't become king.
Mm-hmm.
Little Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple more coming out. So join us over there if you dare. Daniel, you got some factoids for me?
Unfortunately. Now, I'm going to preface by saying what I'm going to read by saying fact is a very liberal use of the term. How's that?
Okay.
Now, of course, I pulled it off of the very accurate internets, but
the Google machine.
Right. So it's fine. I'm just going to, but then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So in the Middle Ages, allegedly, a lot of women of wealth had male tongue slaves.
What?
That would serve them whenever their husbands were away. And basically the point was that by sitting on a man's face allows them to have some pleasure, but technically they're not cheating on their husbands because,
no risk of pregnancy.
Right. They have chairs. I think that's where they're coming up with this because they have chairs that were found and they think that's what they were designed for.
Wow.
I'll just show you the chair. It doesn't help anyone listening.
And that's not to go to the bathroom in a bucket?
Well, no, because the hole would have to be, like this one would have to be farther back. I thought about that. Like maybe they just, basically it's like a toilet seat.
Yeah, like a bed chamber, but not in a bed.
But I guess, if they're sitting like that, I don't know. It says in ancient Persia, these chairs, they called them queening chairs, were crafted to cradle the man's head and neck for support in case he was called to service many women or if the women involved needed longer servicing than usual. Women would sit on the chair and drape their dress over it.
God, there's like no airflow.
There was a hole they'd sit over where the man's face would be.
Oh.
So there's that.
It just sounds very unhygienic.
But that's the thing is these guys would do that. That's their job.
That was their only job.
Right.
Okay.
So there's two parts to this. One is the queening chairs, and that's the theories what these were for. And then there's the male tongue slaves, so to speak. which, I mean, if it works, is it a bad idea? I don't know. What do you think? You're a queen and you can get whatever you want. So you have a fella that's pretty good, got the good tongue going on,
Okay.
and you just say, "Yep, come on in."
I don't know. It just seems not very hygienic.
Well, it seems fair because then it goes both ways. See, because you had all the nobles, the male nobles that had all these side piece women, right?
Well, then I would just want a side piece.
Okay.
I wouldn't just want that.
But that during the time was more accepted than women having a side piece.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
No,
so
I know.
maybe this was a way around it. So they were kind of like they're still getting pleasure, but they're not.
Well, you're not getting
officially
pregnant.
Right.
You're not getting some sort of venereal
right.
thing.
They don't have to deal with all the rest of it.
Mhm.
They just straight to the point.
Right.
No pun intended.
I don't know. Ooh.
So I'm going to finish up with this.
Okay.
There's also a lot of information on the internets that refutes that. And basically, they're saying that the claim that wealthy women in the Middle Ages had male tongue slaves is false and a harmful myth.
It's harmful?
Harmful. I don't know.
How is it harmful?
I don't know. Someone was like, this is terrible. What, you're going to make them look bad? I don't know. I'd be like, sweet, whatever.
Jeez.
They say there is no historical evidence to support this claim, and it is likely based on misinformation or modern fantasies. Well, didn't they have middle-age fantasies? I don't know.
Yeah, they just wanted bread.
They say it lacks historical evidence. There is no credible historical sources, writings, or artifacts that document the existence of such a practice. So I'm saying the queening chairs, so-called, they're thinking that's what those were for. You're saying, well, maybe they're just like
Potty chairs.
potty chairs.
Or birthing chairs.
They sit, well, if you look at them, they're pretty narrow.
They are. Enough for a tongue.
Right. But if she's sitting in it, her nether regions are going to be somewhat covered up by the bottom of the chair. So if you were sitting in it, it would all be out, so to speak.
Yeah.
There's
not a lot of wiggle room. You kind of have to stay in one place.
You would have to sit in one place. But that's the point, is he just does all the work and you sit there and go, keep going.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't breathe. Keep going. I'm not there yet.
Can somebody open a window?
This is funny. Harmful stereotypes. The claim perpetrates harmful stereotypes about women in the Middle Ages, and it is important to debunk such myths and rely on accurate historical information. You know what? I'm going to go with it's 100% true because I read it on the internet, and I think it's funnier.
There you go.
That
I like
women
it.
had money, and they're like, get over here, tongue slave. Service me. I'm in my chair, so you know what that means. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, well, that is Daniel's marginally factual fact for the day.
That was very interesting, and it does give me a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a lot to think about, but just very interesting. How's that?
When you Google tongue slave, make sure you put medieval in front of it because, we're talking about a specific time period, which is such a long time ago that now we can laugh about it. So we don't want to drag
anything else into it
into that title. So,
all right.
You're welcome.
Would you like that title?
No, not especially.
Okay. Sounds good.
But it could get you a following.
Like you could be a content creator.
You may not want to use the word slave.
I don't think you're supposed to say
connotation.
that.
I'm just going, this is what
No, I know. You're reading it. Yes.
This is supposedly historical. I do kind of feel like this generated thing, like this should be debunked immediately because it's negative. It's negative towards women. And it's like, okay, but we're not talking about women. We're just talking about
how is that negative?
If you have the money, you can get anyone to do anything. So if you're a woman of power and money,
Right.
You're like, hey, get over here, male slave, and service me. That doesn't sound too far-fetched, to be honest.
It probably isn't.
And her husband doesn't want to do that.
Because he's doing it with all of his other
because
mistresses.
They don't have showers.
Oh.
Right?
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you.
Well, I'll let you chew on that for a while as we proceed.
Daniel.
Yeah.
You ready for my case?
Nope.
No, I'm going to tell it to you anyways. This is the case of Chester Gillette and Grace Brown. We got a little paranormal in this one, too.
He's the founder of the razor company.
He is not.
No.
But I did think that. So I had to do a little extra research, but he is not.
They make creams and lotions and things, too. It's not just the razors.
Right, but this has nothing to do with that.
Right. So why am I even bringing it up? I don't know.
Because you're Daniel. In the early morning hours of Thursday, July 12th, 1906, a man by the name of Robert Morrison had been up before dawn. Robert was still exhausted from a restless night's sleep. He was concerned about the young couple who had rented a 17-foot wooden rowboat from him the day before. The young man who rented Robert's boat under the name Carl Graham and his companion were due to arrive back at the boathouse before the sun set over Big Moose Lake, located in the Adirondacks in upstate New York.
Beautiful.
Only the couple never arrived back. Robert believed that the couple might have not realized how large the lake actually was, but would probably be pulling in sometime later that night. But they never did. Now, I did look up Big Moose Lake, and it's about 2 miles.
Okay. They rented a 17-foot rowboat.
They did.
That's a big rowboat.
A wooden rowboat.
That thing weighs 1,000,000 pounds.
Oh, for sure.
Just because it's 17 feet long, it's going to have to be.
Yeah, it was a big boy.
It's one thing if it's a 17-foot long canoe, because it's real narrow, so it cuts through the water pretty good. But this is a rowboat.
It's a rowboat.
You know what a rowboat needs? A motor, so that it's no longer a rowboat.
Well, by 8 a.m., Robert had reported the couple as missing and gathered a search party to set out on the lake to hopefully find the couple safe and sound. How many times am I going to say couple? I think I said it like 10 times. Within the hour, the men aboard a steamboat
There it is. See?
pulled into an isolated cove named Punky Bay. Now, floating in the cove was Robert's wooden rowboat, and it was capsized.
Uh-oh.
As the men steamed closer, they saw a woman's wet black cape lying on the skiff, a men's straw hat, which was later revealed to have had the inner lining ripped out, and strewn papers were bobbing in the water.
Wow.
So this hat was in the water.
Okay.
Once next to the boat, it did not take the men long to notice a large object resting within the weeds on the shallow bottom of the cove. The men used a long wooden spike pole and began poking at the item. Eventually, it was pulled to the surface, and slowly and eerily, the lifeless body of a young woman broke the surface. Her body was carefully lifted onto the vessel, and the rescue team set off toward the shore, notifying the authorities as soon as they docked. Robert was barely able to identify the body as that of the young companion of Carl, who had rented the boat the day before, due to the large lacerations and injuries about her face and head.
Okay, so they pull her up out of the water, and she's kind of sunk, right?
Yeah, she was kind of lying at the bottom.
Face is all tore up.
Mm-hmm. She had blood around her nose.
Where's Carl?
Where's Carl? That's the question.
No, so they didn't look for him. They just found her and went, all right, let's go back.
No, they kind of did. Like, they searched the area a little bit, but they didn't see anything. And so they were like, let's get her to shore.
Gotcha.
But she was dead, so I don't know. Yeah,
right,
it was sad.
Yeah.
But if the woman was here, where was the young man?
Yeah.
So good question.
And he wasn't in the water.
He was not in the water.
So.
Now, local officers and residents began scouring the lake for another body, focusing on the shore and surrounding woods. But Carl was never found. And then Robert was questioned further. He said he believed the couple had been registered at the Glenmore Hotel in Eagle Bay, which was along the lake. Robert said Carl had rented the boat last minute. The young woman was in a dress and wearing a black cape-style coat. So the coat that they found wet on top of the boat that had been capsized. Okay. Carl was wearing a traditional men's suit and carrying a coat, a small suitcase with a tennis racket fitted to this suitcase, and an umbrella, which now seemed a little strange to Robert. Why had Carl brought along a suitcase with a tennis racket when they were just going out on the boat?
In a rowboat.
To row,
that's
yeah.
17 feet long.
Yes.
Okay. Who rowed? Carl have to row?
Probably.
Yeah. I would have thrown you out, too.
Shut up.
Whose idea was this?
Now, Carl Graham from Albany was registered as a guest of the Glenmore Hotel, along with a woman named Grace Brown from South Otselic. They had checked in only hours before Carl had rented the rowboat. To the staff, the young couple seemed very pleasant and excited about their day at the lake. Now, they had not actually rented a room at the hotel, but were enjoying the lake for only that specific day, asking about renting a rowboat for a few hours before continuing on to their next destination. Now, the body from the lake was quickly identified as the 20-year-old Grace Brown, who was on the registry. An employee of the Gillette skirt company located in Cortland, New York. Further investigation revealed that while no one associated with Grace had ever heard of a Carl Graham, they did know that Grace had been, quote-unquote, keeping company with a man by the name of Chester Gillette, who was the nephew of the Gillette skirt factory owner, and he was also employed at the factory. So they were co-workers as well.
Yeah.
Now, 2 days later, a witness came forward saying that he had been startled while walking in the woods around Big Moose Lake by a well-dressed man carrying a small suitcase around 8 p.m. the night of the woman's death. So the night that the boat was not returned to Robert.
Gotcha.
The strange man had asked him for directions to the small town of Inlet. The witness pointed to a path through the woods that would lead the way, and the well-dressed man thanked the witness and then made his leave. Now, a few miles up the path and down a road was the Arrowhead Hotel. Guess who they found staying in the hotel?
Carl.
A man by the name of Chester Gillette.
Oh, okay.
While inquiring about the hotel's guest, Chester walked out of the dining room and straight into the authorities. Chester was questioned about his whereabouts over the last 3 days. He said he had been at the Arrowhead Hotel, hiking and making new friends. When asked if he knew a young woman by the name of Grace Brown, he said no. He did not know anyone by that name. But having an eyewitness such as Robert Morrison did not do Chester any favors. And he confirmed that Chester was the Carl Graham who had rented his boat. And then Chester Gillette was arrested the next morning.
Nice.
Now, on July 14th, Grace's autopsy took place by 5 physicians. And each one of these physicians testified at the trial.
5?
5.
Wow, okay. At least they're thorough.
They were. Now, according to the Herkimer County coroner, in the appeal records that I found a real appeal records from 1908 online. It was pretty cool. I was super excited. Yeah. The 20-year-old Grace Brown had died from blunt force trauma to her head and face, believing that that was the primary cause of Grace's death, calling the wounds marks of violence. So they did not believe that she had drowned.
Okay.
Even though there was a little bit of water found in her lungs, they did not believe that her cause of death was drowning.
Gotcha.
There was a blow near her left eye that was sufficient enough to cause blindness. There was also a blow on the left side of Grace's head, 3 inches above her ear, that was so severe that it would have caused her unconsciousness, if not Grace's death. Now, this is a quote. From the findings of the autopsy, the cause of death was primarily concussion, followed by syncope, which is the fancy term for fainting, and then asphyxiation.
Gotcha.
The 5 physicians and the coroner said that she died on the boat and then was thrown into the lake. So like I said, Grace did not drown.
Okay.
It was also discovered that Grace was pregnant.
Oh, no.
She was about 4 months along. And I did read that Grace's baby was a little boy.
Oh.
Grace's family was contacted and were told of their daughter's death. Grace's father confirmed that she was dating a man from Cortland named Chester Gillette, believing that the couple would soon be wed. But Grace's family did not know that she was pregnant. She was keeping it a secret.
It was 1906.
It was. When confronted, Chester Gillette now admitted to knowing Grace, but said that while out on the boat, she had fallen, hit her head, and then drowned.
And he didn't, when he ran into the guy on the shore or walking through the woods, he didn't say, "Oh my gosh, there's been a horrible accident. I'm trying to find help."
Ding, ding, ding.
And here's my other
Exactly.
question.
Okay.
Okay, so the old steamboat pulls up. They see her submerged. And the rowboat is capsized.
Yes.
Right, it's semi-submerged in the water.
Yes.
But the witness didn't say that Graham, right, that's his real name?
No, his name is Chester Gillette.
Chester
Yeah.
Gillette. The witness didn't see Chester was all soaked.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't wet.
Okay, so he's got all his stuff, his prized tennis racket, as one would have with him. And I'm assuming he didn't appear to be as though he had fallen in the water.
No, and he did not have his tennis racket when he was spotted by the witness.
Oh, okay. So it's not really his favorite tennis racket.
No.
All right.
I think he used it for something else.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, when he was confronted a bit more, Chester changed his story, saying that he told Grace that he no longer loved her and that they would not be marrying. In the midst of her grief, she called out, "Well, I will end it here." She then stood up and leapt from the boat and drowned because Grace did not know how to swim.
Yeah, that's not usually what people do when they don't know how to swim.
Well, he's kind of saying that she was going to kill herself over him.
Gotcha.
Over his lack of love.
She would prefer to just sit there and choke
and die.
Asphyxiate in the water and die.
Chester said that he jumped in after Grace, but she had disappeared below the surface. Which is, they found her pretty quickly.
Right.
They could see her.
And it's pretty shallow.
Yes. In the chaos, the boat capsized, forcing Chester to swim to shore.
Okay.
But we're talking about a 17-foot wooden rowboat.
Yeah.
Is that easily capsizable?
Yeah,
Is that a
rowboats
word?
aren't very stable.
Okay.
But they're not as unstable, say, as a canoe.
Okay.
Meaning if you're in a rowboat and 2 people get on one side, it's possible that the thing could fall over.
Okay. Well, then that makes sense.
Depending on how big and how heavy the boat is. The heavier and bigger the boat is, obviously the less impact it will be for the weight to be offset.
So it could have capsized.
Yeah, like if you're
Something
over
else.
on the edge and then water pours over,
Mm.
most rowboats, even back in 1906 or whatever, they're probably not going to sink completely. They'll just, they'll submerge a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, so if you get the thing kind of tilted over and then water pours in, then the thing kind of just sits there half full of water.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you picturing this in your head?
No.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see the wheels turning. So he swam to shore with his monogram suitcase, his tennis racket, and his umbrella. And then saying that he changed into a dry suit once he was on shore.
Oh, because he has a waterproof, in 1906, he has a waterproof suitcase. Perfect.
Never once asking for help from anyone he met along his journey to the Arrowhead Hotel.
Yeah.
And asking no one in the hotel for help. He just registered and checked in.
I wonder if he reapplied his Dapper Dan, to his hair, because he probably would have been disheveled, to say the least. So he would have had to kind of
fix himself
reassemble himself on shore.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the guy said it struck him as odd that there's this very well-dressed man, meaning
walking through the woods.
The whole appearance it's the whole package.
Yeah, he was a handsome fella.
Right. So he didn't look like he's all flummoxed.
Right.
Flamboozled.
Okay,
Anyway.
But if Grace leapt into the lake and drowned, how did she receive the deep cuts and bruises on her head and face?
Yeah.
The blunt force trauma.
Or the sea monster that's in the lake. The lake monster.
Right, the lake monster.
It's not a sea monster. It's not the sea. It's a lake monster.
And the coroner said that she did not die from drowning. That was not the cause of her death. She had to have been murdered on that boat and then tossed in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Chester and Grace met in March of 1905. Both were employed at the new Gillette skirt factory located in Cortland, New York. Grace had been working as a fabric cutter and clothing inspector since the fall of 1904. Having moved to Cortland after living in her family's farm outside South Osceola, about 40 miles east. Preferring the big city feel of Cortland to the small town life of her hometown.
I can see that.
Chester's uncle, Noah Gillette, hired his nephew as a stockroom supervisor.
Okay.
So Noah Gillette is the one that owned the skirt factory.
Gotcha.
Now, the story goes that Chester and Grace met when a ring that she had been wearing fell off her finger and rolled toward Chester, coming to rest on the edge of his boot.
Oh.
So he picked it up and they started a conversation.
Right.
It is said that soon after, the two were frequently seen together at the factory, even though there was no real reason that the two should be conversing or need to converse. A letter was eventually found with Grace's things, and it was dated from October of 1905. Grace had taken leave from the factory and traveled back to her hometown after her sister's young son had passed away. The letter was from Chester to Grace, and it read, "You don't know how lonesome it is now with nothing to do in the evenings. Sunday was the dullest day I have known in a long time. I went to bed about 9, but laid awake for nearly 2 hours thinking of everything, principally you. Hurry back, as you don't know how lonesome it is here." Now, this is either a letter from a man in lust or from a man who is playing a game, right? Because all the information that you read about Chester, he was a very handsome man. Tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah.
Smoldering, one would say.
Oh, goodness.
And Grace was a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. But Chester could have his pick of ladies.
Right.
Okay? But by that winter, Chester, thanks to his wealthy business owner uncle, was now being invited to attend the high society functions within Cortland, no longer being seen around town with Grace. He now began dating the daughters of the city's most wealthy families. But according to Grace's friends, the two continued their affair, but kept it even more under wraps. So she became his dirty little secret.
Well, she's not dirty.
No, she's not, but that's just what,
Right.
people call it.
Yeah.
No, she was, oh God, Grace was beautiful.
Secret.
Chester regularly sneaks into Grace's bedroom
Oh.
at the local boarding house.
Oh, boy.
And they were seeing each other without a chaperone,
Oh.
which was a big no-no.
And she didn't have her chastity belt on.
She did not. I think they did away with those
Gotcha.
by that time.
Yeah.
They should have made him at the skirt factory. By May, Grace was pregnant and begging Chester to marry her, but he had one excuse after another. His uncle was the one that was rich. Chester was not. He actually grew up very poor in Montana. And his parents became members of the Salvation Army when Chester was around 9 years old. Now, as officers in the church, they began an evangelical life of travel and pledging to live a life of poverty,
Gotcha.
relocating frequently for the next decade of Chester's adolescence, moving from Washington to Oregon to Wyoming, California, and even to Hawaii as officers of the Salvation Army.
Right, out in front of the supermarket.
Something like that. In 1901, the family left the Salvation Army due to his father's illness and soon became new members of the Christian Catholic Church, living in a utopian city called Zion City on Lake Michigan near Chicago. The leader, an Alexander Dowie, claimed to have the power to heal the sick.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons they joined the church, is because Chester's father was ill,
Right.
and they believed that this prophet, this
Yeah.
leader,
The cult
could
leader.
heal him.
Right.
Yes, it was basically a
So
cult.
instead of taking him to the doctor, they're like, we should join a cult, and then we can get our help that we need.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh, good God.
Yes.
Okay.
So Chester's uncle Noah wanted nothing more than to relieve the now 18-year-old Chester of the poverty his parents had made him suffer through. So Uncle
Yeah.
Noah to the rescue.
Okay.
In 1901, Uncle Noah sent Chester to Oberlin College's Preparatory Academy in Ohio. He remained at the school for 2 years. Some sources will tell you he only stayed a semester, but I did get reliable information, and they said he was there for 2 years and realized very quickly that he did not want to go back to living less than, but he also didn't want to stay in school. He kind of wanted to
both.
experience
Sure.
things. So for the next 2 years, Chester worked odd jobs, but still keeping in constant contact with Uncle Noah. Now, his uncle began construction on a new factory, and by 1905, gave Chester a job and a place to live at the Gillette skirt factory, where Chester met the lovely Grace and ultimately began a relationship with her. So we're all caught up. And to tell you a little bit about Grace, she was like one of 9 kids. I think she was the 5th in line.
Oh, wow.
She lived on a farm with her parents and helped with the farm, but she was actually educated up until the age of 16, which is a lot further along than most girls.
Yeah.
So she was very well educated. She was a farm girl.
So she had practical knowledge and experience and book knowledge.
Absolutely.
So
She was like
she
a
was
great
there.
package.
Yeah.
But she did come from poor farmer's daughter
Right.
who lived this really kind of sheltered life, but, had a great time.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it sounds like. And her family loved her. She was so loved by her parents and her siblings. So her death was just tragic
Right.
for everyone. All right. So after Chester was arrested, he was taken by train back to Herkimer County to the local jail to await his fate. His Uncle Noah refused to pay for a defense attorney, leaving Chester with a public defender.
Oof.
I think Uncle Noah knew what had happened.
Something shady happened.
And Uncle Noah really liked Grace. She was a great employee for him. And so I think he generally took Grace's side, obviously.
Yeah.
And was very torn up by the whole thing. Now, the district attorney of Herkimer County, George Ward, believed he needed more circumstantial evidence against Chester to actually get a murder conviction. And he and his team began retracing Chester and Grace's relationship and the steps leading them to Big Moose Lake. He believed he was going to get more information, trying to figure out how she actually got to Big Moose Lake.
Yeah.
Now, on June 15th, a pregnant and unmarried Grace left her job at the factory and the city of Cortland, moving back to her family's farm, where she continued to hide her pregnancy, writing to Chester every single day, begging him to keep his promise and to marry her. Grace's letters are becoming more desperate, saying that she's frightened, that she's crying all the time, and that she's sick. Only Chester rarely replied back to these letters. So this went on for weeks.
Because she's going through pregnancy.
Yeah,
So
and she's scared to
she's a
death.
mess. Yeah, and she's young.
And she's trying to hide it, and she feels awful.
And then she realizes, wow, this was a mistake.
Yeah, the bastard. Okay, so one letter read, "You have succeeded in making me leave Cortland for a time. It makes me feel badly to think that you think I don't know why you wanted me to come home. I ain't no fool. Please write me and tell me all about how you have not thought about me once or missed me at all, and how you don't want me to come back."
This is coming from her, right?
This is coming from her to Chester.
Okay.
Now, they found all of these letters in his possession in the room that he was living in the
Gotcha.
factory. Okay. So Grace's friends who knew about her relationship with Chester would write to Grace often while she was at her parents', telling her all about Chester's womanizing ways.
Oof.
He was having a grand old time with Grace being
Yeah.
gone. Chester finally wrote back to Grace saying, "As to the numerous accusations you make, they are all true. So perhaps I had better not come to visit at all. In fact, I think it would be better when you come back, but do not rush your work too hard because of it, hoping you will understand my reasons for writing as I do." He's basically agreeing with her that he's a player.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I am.
I don't really.
So I don't know what more you want from me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you what you want, basically. Now, finally, in one of her letters to Chester, Grace wrote that if she did not see him soon, she would make her way back to Cortland and tell everyone of their affair and her condition.
No, see, now she's threatening him.
Yeah.
How old is he? She's 20. He's
He's 23. He was 3 years older than her.
So that he's super immature too.
Oh, 100%. And he's never really had
Although it is
much responsibility.
He is 1906, so he's basically middle aged at this point.
He's
23.
like on the downward
he's almost,
slope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's got a few years left before he's dead.
So writing, "My life is ruined, and in a measure, yours is too. The world and you too may think that I am the one to blame, but somehow I can't. Just simply can't think of that. I said no so many times."
What?
Let that sink in.
He said no to her?
No, she said no to him.
Oh, she said no.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said this was part of the letter to
okay.
him.
All right.
I feel like she's saying, I said no to you.
Right.
And he kind of pushed himself on her.
Gotcha.
So this is like a sexual assault.
And then she got pregnant. It's like, hey, so, we did the thing and this is the result. Now you got to back this up.
because I said no to you. I don't know. It
like,
makes
I
me
didn't
kind of
wanna do
sick.
it.
It makes me sick to my stomach. Well, that letter got his attention. And soon the couple made plans to meet up and take a vacation to the Adirondack Mountains. Now, historians believe that Grace assumed that Chester would finally be marrying her during this trip.
Sure.
And so on July 5th, Grace wrote Chester a final letter expressing her concern that he would not show up at their predetermined meeting spot 4 days later, which was due to be Monday, July 9th. Writing, "This is the last letter I can write, dear. I feel as though you are not coming. I have been bidding goodbye to some places today. There are so many nooks, dear, and all of them are so dear to me. I know I shall never see them again. And Mama, great heavens, how do I love Mama? I don't know what I shall do without her. Sometimes I think if I could tell Mama, but I can't. She has trouble enough as it is, and I couldn't break her heart like that. If I come back dead, perhaps if she doesn't know, she won't be angry with me. I will never be happy again, dear. I wish I could die. I am going to bed now, dear. Please come and don't let me wait there. It is for both of us to be there. If you have made plans for something Sunday night, you must come Monday morning." I feel like she's basically saying, if you don't show up, I'm not going to be around on this earth. Like she's going to say goodbye to everything.
Well, I think she was kind of being a little dramatic to try and get his attention.
I
don't
think
think
so.
she actually was. But she's probably feeling a little desperate at this point and alone, and what am I going to do? And
Right.
I'm getting more pregnant by the day.
And I can't tell Mama.
Yeah.
And
so you need to show up and at least make this right.
yes.
So she's hoping that by saying that, he's going to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm on my way.
Yeah,
And then,
don't do anything drastic.
Right.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think she's bluffing a little bit, but she is desperate.
So Chester kept his word and arrived at their predetermined meeting spot, which was the train station in DeRuyter. I looked up how to say that, by the way.
Okay.
DeRuyter, New York, on Monday, July 9th. The couple traveled north by train. Their first stop was in Utica, staying as husband and wife at the Tabor Hotel, under the name Charles Gordon. Now, I want you to think of these names that he's going to use because on his luggage was his monogram, which was CG.
Oh.
So every false name that he uses
matches the letters.
the monogram. Yeah, kind of wild. So he's under Charles Gordon.
Right.
And wife.
Castellano Gupta.
What?
CG. Never mind.
I don't know.
Just random names.
Oh, okay. Grace sent her mother a postcard around this time. It read, "Dear Mother, I am having a lovely time. Don't worry. We'll write to you more tonight about the trip. It was rather unexpected, but I am glad I am here." Now, it is believed that Grace's family had no idea that she was on a trip. They assumed that Grace had made her way back to Cortland. Not that she's on a trip with Chester, because that's very taboo.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So they thought she went back to Cortland. The next day, the two headed by train to Tupper Lake Village in Franklin County, checking into the local hotel as Charles George and wife. Due to heavy rains, the couple decided to head south the next morning to the town of Old Forge, where Chester would be picking up some laundry that he had sent there, but decided to stop first at Big Moose Lake in Eagle Bay, a place they had heard was very popular with summer tourists. Grace had her large trunk sent ahead to Old Forge.
Okay.
So they kept it on the train and they were going to take it off in Old Forge. And they bought tickets to Old Forge for later that day.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're just stopping for a limited amount of time
right.
at Big Moose Lake. They registered at the lakeside Glenmore hotel under the name Carl Graham from Albany and Grace Brown from South Otselic.
Gotcha.
This is the first time he registered Grace under her real name.
Oh.
It was always wife,
Gotcha.
not Grace. Keep that in the back of your head.
Yeah. So when
And
they
her
registered, they
hometown.
were registered as two separate people.
Yes. Because they weren't staying the
Independent.
night there. They weren't getting a hotel room.
Right,
They were
right.
just going to use the facilities.
Right.
But he kept his suitcase.
Gotcha.
Soon after arriving, Chester and Grace rented the boat and headed out on the lake. Grace carried only her jacket, and Chester carried the small suitcase, tennis racket, and it is believed he carried an umbrella, even though that was never found either. So the question was, why didn't he send his stuff on as well? If Grace sent her stuff on ahead, why didn't he do it?
Well, what if it got lost? I mean, why do we want to carry stuff on an airplane instead of checking it? Because we don't want to run the risk it's going to get lost. So maybe
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever he's got in his suitcase.
Well, and he had sent laundry to Old Forge.
maybe? Okay.
So he had sent suits up there already. So he only had this small suitcase
Gotcha.
filled with
Basic
stuff he needed at the moment.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Now, there were many eyewitnesses who said that they saw the couple at various times during that afternoon. One witness even said they saw the young couple on shore enjoying a picnic around lunchtime. Before the lake was due to close for the evening, a man observed two people, a man rowing and a woman matching Grace's description, sitting on the stern of the rowboat, going toward the secluded portion of the lake called Punky Bay, where she was ultimately found, and the boat. Around 6 p.m., a man and a woman heard a loud female-sounding scream originating from the eastern shore of South Bay, which is the general area where this cove was.
Okay.
So that's interesting. That's at 6 p.m.
And all of this is a day trip?
Yes.
Man. Normally when you stop somewhere, you get out and go, cool. All right, let's go.
But the train wasn't until, I believe it was between 7 and 8 p.m. So they had a lot of time to kill before that train arrived.
But do you rent a boat and go across a lake
I
in
guess
between
they
a
did.
train stop? I don't know.
But they rented it before lunchtime and were supposed to have it back before it got dark,
Okay.
which I believe it got dark around 6 p.m. So about the time that they heard the scream is when they recommend that people get off the lake because it's too dark.
Okay. And the monsters come out.
Yes, the lake monster. Now, Grace's trunk that she had sent ahead to Old Forge was located. Inside, they found an entire woman's wardrobe and cosmetics, plus a stack of letters from Chester to Grace. So some of those letters I already read to you.
Yep.
And they thought it was strange that it was an entire woman's wardrobe. So this wasn't just a trip. This was a trip before putting down roots somewhere else. Like she had packed everything in this trunk. So to her, it wasn't just a trip. Does that make sense?
She was planning on, what, running off with him?
Yeah, they believe that she thought they were going to get married
Gotcha.
and then probably move back to Cortland as husband and wife.
Right. She wanted to believe.
Oh, she really
She did,
Yeah. Now, the contents of the letters that they found proved that the two were involved in a relationship. When Chester was questioned about these letters, he admitted that they were from him and that the letters that Grace had sent to him could be found in the room where he was living in Cortland. Which is so funny to me that he kept these letters.
Yeah, because they're kind of damning in a way.
Right. So why would you keep them? I would burn them.
Yeah. Especially if you're trying to dispute your relationship.
Why keep the evidence?
Right. Go, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get any letters.
Well, the tennis racket that Chester had been seen carrying with his monogram suitcase was missing from the belongings located at the Arrowhead Hotel. And I believe the umbrella was missing as well. The district attorney believed that the heavy wooden racket was the murder weapon and that Chester had gotten rid of the item either in the lake or had buried it in the woods on shore.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I already have a fun fact for you.
Oh, good.
There are 3 people who believe that they have in their possession the actual racket, the actual tennis racket.
And did they say where they found it?
Not especially, but none of these rackets were ever used as evidence during the trial.
Gotcha.
They didn't have a racket.
Okay.
But there's 3 people out there that will tell you that they actually have the murder weapon.
And it's for sale on eBay.
I don't know. Now, Chester's statement to the investigators was just not making sense. If Grace had carried out a suicide, why hadn't Chester gone for help? If he had nothing to hide, why not try to get to the police? Why check into another hotel and then spend the next 2 days basically on vacation?
And why wouldn't he talk her out of jumping over?
Right.
You would say anything to at least say, no. Everything's going to be fine. I promise I'll be with you forever and ever. Amen. I'll never leave you. Whatever it takes. Tell her whatever you need. Get her out of the boat, get her back to shore.
And why tell her on a boat
that
you don't love her and don't want to be with her? Why not tell her in the comfort of your hotel room? Maybe he thought she was going to make a scene. And so he thought maybe she wouldn't make a scene on a boat, especially because she can't swim. I mean, maybe that's what he's thinking in his head that people will believe.
My question would be, to go backwards, what the hell was their meeting like? After all the letters and the desperation, and then they finally do meet? That had to be awkward.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure. Because she's so excited to see him, and he was probably like, oh, God.
Well, yeah, the pressure's built up, and then she's like, I just really was missing you and feeling desperate, and he's looking at her going, wait, you were talking about, like, ending your life, and...
Mm-hmm. But she really loved him, is what people were saying. This was love to her.
Because she's 20.
Exactly. And she'd never been in love before.
Imagine the pregnancy hormones going through her.
Oh, yeah.
She's a wreck.
Except I wanted to punch you in the face.
But you had...
Just joking. I'm just joking.
You had all kinds of... I mean, because you have all these crazy things going on.
You do. It's not fun, that's for sure.
So...
My shirt that I'm wearing is making lots of noise. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, good. So he had spent that 2 or 3 days in between climbing Black Bear Mountain with a group of tourists the very next day, taking photos with his camera that he had brought, and even carved his name on a rock. So he was living this like bachelor fun life for 2 to 3 days after she died. After she committed suicide.
It didn't bother him that his unborn child is drowned along with her? Just that alone. Even if it wasn't yours, even if it was just a random person, and you know someone's really struggling, and they're like, I just want to end it now. You're going to do whatever you can to make them stop.
Right.
Because then at least you buys you time to get them some help. So he obviously knew she was pregnant.
He did.
Okay, and then she jumps over. Wouldn't he immediately jump after her and bring her to the surface and be like, no, I'm sorry. Like, in other words, lie, promise, do whatever it takes.
Yeah, not just to save her life, but also the life of your unborn child.
Right. Like, this is the fruit of your loins.
But he obviously didn't want the child either. I know.
Not.
Okay, so...
Okay.
Now, a week after Grace's death, Chester was indicted on the charge of murder in the first degree, and the trial against Chester Gillette was scheduled. George Ward was determined to get a conviction and put Chester in the electric chair. Ward shared most of his evidence and personal theory with the local papers up until the trial, saying... This fellow is a degenerate, and all circumstances point to the belief that he knocked the girl senseless and threw her overboard. The trial against Chester began on November 12th, Grace's parents and her 8 siblings attended the trial, but Chester's family members were absent. So he was doing this all by himself.
Wouldn't they want to know what he did?
The family?
Yeah.
I mean, they were hearing about what he was being prosecuted for.
Okay. They didn't have an
but
opinion?
They weren't there. I don't think they had the money to travel, and his dad was really sick.
Oh, okay.
Now, during the trial, reporters and regular attendees were given transcripts of the letters that Grace wrote to Chester, begging him to keep his promise to take care of her and their baby, plus the letter where Grace threatened to expose him and his seductive ways, exposing him to not only the town, but to his uncle. The state believed that this was the motive.
Okay.
This is why he killed her, to keep his little secret under wraps so that he could marry some high society chick and then be married into money.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the unfortunate reality is everyone's trying to get ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some people do it in unscrupulous ways and others do it through hard work. But ultimately, the common goal is to try and get ahead.
Yeah, I think that's what most people strive.
Yeah, right. That's really the bottom line. You just want to be not in a terrible situation.
Now, items found on the evidence table were Chester's suitcase, his camera and tripod, plus his clothes. Now, Grace's trunk and her clothes were also on the evidence table. They brought in the rowboat.
Oh.
And a sealed and covered package containing the baby that was removed from Grace's body.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody knew that was in the package. District Attorney Ward began the prosecution's case by showing all the circumstantial evidence that Chester had premeditated the murder of his one-time love, Grace, using aliases along the way, except for the last day when he signed Grace's real name, hoping that she would be identified and like her body given to her family.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me if you were going to if you were going to murder the person that you're with, why say her real name?
Yeah.
And if you're going to try to get away with it, she would just remain unidentified.
So he, of course, is denying that he killed her.
Yeah, he's saying that she committed suicide.
Okay.
That's his statement.
But even so, his actions did not line up.
Right.
Because
he never tried to get help.
You'd be like, I need help. She jumped over. Even if you know she's dead, you're not going to go on excursions.
Yeah.
You're not like, I'm going hiking.
So
hang out.
why
knowing
say
her body's
her real
in the lake?
name? Why use her real name? I think he just didn't think it through all the way.
Probably not.
Yeah. Now, where was the tennis racket that most of the witnesses saw strapped to his suitcase? The prosecution believed that Chester had buried the planned murder weapon in the woods after the murder, because they did scour the lake looking for this tennis racket and the umbrella, I believe.
And when they asked him what, he just said, I have no idea what you're talking
he didn't
about.
know where
I
it
don't have a
was.
tennis racket.
Yeah, he didn't know
Okay.
where it was. Saying that Chester had purposely rowed to the most secluded area of the lake as to not have any witnesses to the murder. Now, if Grace's death was a tragic accident, why not tell anyone?
Right.
That was the repeated question.
Yeah.
Why did he not get help, and why didn't he tell anybody? Now, witnesses on the stand told the jury about seeing the couple at the different stops along the lover's journey. The woman who heard a scream from the lake around 6 p.m., also the woman who heard the scream from the lake around 6 p.m. the night that Grace died. She was also put on the stand.
Gotcha.
And the county coroner who said Grace had died from multiple blows to her head and face. He's trying to show that she was murdered on that boat and then dropped over the side. Now, the defense tried to paint a different picture, saying that Grace had committed suicide. Chester taking the stand in his own defense.
Always a good idea.
He told the courtroom that while out on the boat, he told Grace that he wanted to tell her family about the baby. She panicked and jumped in the water. And during his unsuccessful attempts to reach Grace, the boat overturned. Chester then swam to shore, collecting his belongings. Now he's saying that she killed herself because he said that
he was going
to tell her family about the baby.
But she thought they were getting married.
Right.
So what difference would it make? Other than, you jump the gun slightly, but whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, Chester said that he had taken his suitcase on board the boat only because it carried the couple's lunch that they shared that afternoon. And Chester did admit to burying his tennis racket on his way out of the woods.
Because that's what one does with their tennis racket that they prize.
Saying that he did so out of fear that it might be mistaken for the murder weapon in Grace's accidental death.
Well, does it have chunks of her face stuck to it? Right? Like, how would it be a murder weapon if it wasn't a murder weapon?
I can't believe his defense attorney let him say anything like that.
Don't say anything. Just say you don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Must have dropped it.
Say people were mistaken. I didn't have a tennis racket.
No, it was a pickleball racket.
Right.
It's completely different. So
right.
You guys are all wrong.
So he had buried it, is what he's saying. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, because it had chunks of her face on the edge of it.
Yeah, and it was probably broken. It was wooden.
Mm-hmm.
And he's using it to bash her head in.
Everyone knows
God.
if you got a hammer, don't use a tennis racket.
Ugh.
Use a hammer.
So on December 4th, 1906, the defense rested. To everyone's surprise, the all-male jury announced that they had a verdict after only 6 hours of deliberating on a 3-week trial. 23-year-old Chester Gillette was found guilty of the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, Grace Brown. He was sentenced to death by the electric chair. And with all his appeals exhausted, Chester was put to death in the electric chair on March 30th, 1908 at Auburn State Prison. He is said to be buried in an unmarked grave in Soul Cemetery outside of Auburn, New York.
Well, I'm not shocked, but he was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting fact. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
There is some actual doubt as to whether or not Chester really did murder Grace with the tennis racket. Some of the most recent investigators of this unsolved mystery seem to think that the lacerations on Grace's face and head were actually caused by the long wooden spike pole used to pry her body to the surface. But the only marks were to her face. So I feel like there would be other markings all over her body.
Yeah, and they wouldn't sit there poking at her.
They wouldn't stab her.
Face. No.
I think you would want to get up above or underneath the armpit, right? To lift him up. You wouldn't poke her face trying to get her to come up.
The other thing is injuries sustained after death are going to look different than injuries sustained while you're alive.
Mm-hmm. And she had blood around her nose. There was blood.
Yeah.
But if you don't necessarily bleed after being stabbed after you already died because your heart's not pumping anymore.
Well, and she had been in the water for a while. There's no more blood. It's all done. She's bloated. They found her. She
was at least in that water for 14 hours by the time they found her.
Yeah, so no, I'm pretty confident when they say, she had marks all over her face. It's not going to be from a pole from the steamboat thing.
What did I call it?
Plus, she's floating, so it's not there's not going to be a lot of resistance.
Yeah, I think she was just kind of tangled in the weeds.
Yeah.
And so once they got her out of that, she floated to the surface.
Right. So I don't think that even if you were like kind of pushing a body in the water with a pole spike thing, it's not going to really do a lot of damage to you because your body's going to give. You know what I mean? You're in the
Yeah.
water.
Now, you might be thinking that this is the end of our case, but there's more.
Uh-oh.
The legend of Grace Brown lives on in paranormal form. You ready for this?
Yeah. She haunts the lake as a sea monster, a lake monster.
Now, there have been numerous paranormal claims surrounding Grace Brown's tragic murder at Big Moose Lake. And over the years, visitors, locals, and even paranormal investigators have reported eerie experiences that many attribute to her restless spirit. There's been ghostly apparitions. Several witnesses claim to have seen the ghostly figure of a young woman in a white dress wandering near the lake or appearing on the water's surface. Some say she looks sorrowful, while others report a more unsettling presence as if she is seeking justice or revenge.
Oh.
Now, why are they always in a flowy white dress?
I don't know.
Yeah. There's strange sounds and voices. People visiting Moose Lake have reported hearing unexplained cries, whispers, or even a woman's voice calling for help. They've even heard splashing in the water, followed by desperate screams. There's cold spots and unusual feelings. Hikers and campers near the lake often describe sudden cold spots even on warm days. Others report a feeling of sadness or an overwhelming sense of dread, especially near the water's edge.
Would you have any interest of going there and renting a rowboat with me?
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Would you row?
No.
Oh.
I would hope there was a motor.
Well, then it isn't a rowboat, is it? Those are emergency oars.
Motorboat.
Yeah.
There's been ghostly interactions.
No, there hasn't.
Covewood Lodge is a historic inn near Big Moose Lake, and it's rumored to experience paranormal activity tied to Grace Brown. Some people claim to have seen her shadowy figure. They've experienced moving objects, and they've seen or felt hands brushing against them. Yeah.
I think these are rumors that the lodge / motel 3.5 started on their own.
Oh, lean into it.
To
Big
get
time.
a little like, come stay at the authentic Moose Knuckle Hotel or whatever it's called.
It's the Covewood Lodge.
Covewood Lodge.
Yeah. Unsolved Mysteries even did a whole thing on Grace's ghost.
Oh, so it's real then.
People have seen her, yeah.
Okay.
There has been communication attempts. So paranormal investigators and ghost hunters have attempted to contact her using EVPs. They've captured her voice saying, "Help me," or "Why, Chester?" Yeah, that's fun. This case was also the inspiration for the 1925 novel titled An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser, which was turned into a play of the same name the following year. The book and play were then turned into an award-winning film, 1951's A Place in the Sun, starring Montgomery Clift, Shelley Winters, and a 17-year-old Elizabeth Taylor.
Nice.
The film won 6 Academy Awards and the very first ever Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture Drama.
Okay.
I know I've seen A Place in the Sun. I can't really tell you too much about it except for Shelley Duvall. I just watched The Shining. That's why. Shelley Winters plays Grace like this whiny kind of shrew.
Oh.
Like very different from how she actually was.
Okay.
And they have her very dowdy and no makeup. And then they have Elizabeth Taylor as this grand, beautiful love interest for Montgomery Clift, who is playing the Chester character. He's banging Shelley Winters.
Yep.
Gets her pregnant, but then falls for this upper
hot
class
chick.
hot
Yeah.
chick Elizabeth
And then just
Taylor.
wants the other one to go away, and he's
Right.
stuck with her. So.
Right. So he takes her on a trip and kills her out on the lake.
Makes sense.
Man, Montgomery Clift, man, he was a piece.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Didn't like the company of women, but he was a piece.
But he played the straight character.
Yeah, really,
in the
really well.
movies. Yeah.
He was nominated for an Academy Award, and so is Shelley Winters.
Okay.
So, yes, this story has inspired numerous things.
Oh, here it is. Place in the Sun, Circus 1951.
And Elizabeth Taylor, gorgeous, and did a fabulous job in this film as well. So all my information came from tons of different resources. There is a book on this case. I forget what it's called. Shoot. I couldn't find it.
A Place in the Sun?
No.
No. It's a movie.
No, like an actual book. The last publication of it was in 2014, and I couldn't find it. But I did watch the author. He gave a lecture about the book and his findings and things like that, and it's on YouTube, and I watched it. I can't believe I forgot what it's called, but I'll put it down in the show notes if anybody else wants to go watch it. It was really fascinating. I believe that this case was sent to me by one of our 11 listeners, Chelsea. She sends me great stuff all the time.
Cool.
And I did watch the Unsolved Mysteries on it because it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then the more I got into this case and when I found the appeal records and some of the actual court documents and the newspaper publications, it just kind of went from there. And I just thought it was so fascinating. So I hope you all did too. And if you want to hear our nitty gritty, unedited opinions on this case, go check out the After the Show.
Do it.
And be careful.
For marriage is a life sentence.
And divorce is always the better option.
Bye.
Bye.